The Nintendo Switch 1 era is unfortunately but finally over. After almost 8 years, this console has ushered in some of the greatest games, new IP, remakes, and so on and so forth that the Nintendo franchise has ever seen. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about some of the major Switch games that I've played on this console, kind of as an ode to the Nintendo Switch generation. I already made the full tier list over on Twitch.tv, but I wanted to further explain it here on YouTube. But if you want to see stuff like that and more, you subscribe here on YouTube by commenting, and pressing the subscribe button. So let's get into the best, the worst, and everything in between of the Nintendo Switch era. So I want to show you a list of games that I just did not play here on your screen right now. But I also wanted to mention games that I didn't play, but I know they have such a goated reputation behind them amongst their fandoms and amongst just the general population of Nintendo Switch fans. Consider these maybe honorable mentions for this list. So to start up, there's the Miitopia remake, where's WarioWare, also the Advance Wars games that got delayed a bunch, and then there's Ring Fit Adventure. And then there's also the franchises that are just absolutely massive, like Splatoon 2 and 3, basically any Xenoblade game, and any Fire Emblem game that's on the Nintendo Switch. None of which I played, but I know they're probably there and great for those people that enjoy them. Just not for me, or I just haven't given it a try yet. And with the did not plays out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the avoid/bad category, or at least what I think you should be avoiding or just don't even bother playing on the Nintendo Switch 1. So first on this list is Mario vs. Donkey Kong that makes this category of avoid/do not play. I don't know, the only Mario vs. Donkey Kong mini-series game that I even enjoyed was like the one on the Nintendo DS, which that one was fun and has tons of content, but like this one doesn't even have features for you to create your own levels or anything like that. It is just most certainly not worth the 50 bones that they market this thing for. Like, this is a $30 game at best. Next up is Everybody 1-2-Switch and 1-2-Switch. Both games in the franchise belong in this category. They are at best fun party gimmicks that you do one time, not worth the price tag even in the slightest. I think that they might have some applications in large crowd events and venues and whatnot, but overall, these games they tried to be something more. They tried to be this Wii Sports combined Mario Party kind of game, and it just doesn't work for some reason. I don't know. And it's not even that the technology isn't there with the motion controls. There's just something with the game that just doesn't click with me personally, and I know that's a sentiment shared throughout the Nintendo fandom, and yeah, avoid this. Just don't do it. Next up is a Nintendo Switch game. Technically, I mean, you use your Nintendo Switch to control it at the very least. It's the IRL toy Mario Kart thing where you set up your own track and whatnot. Again, I think in concept this is fun, and maybe it's because it's just not marketed towards me. Even for children, I feel like this is a lot of setup and a lot of prep that you have to do. It's not as seamless as it should be, kind of thing. It goes along with like the Labo stuff, right? Don't get it. Not recommend it, especially for the price, which seems to be a theme in this category, which is just do not recommend purely based on price alone. It's a mid-series at best. Then there's this Flip Wars game, which I'll be real, I didn't know what it was until I made the tier list, and then I went and tried it on the eShop, and it's just like a mini game kind of game, and it's just really like gimmicky and poorly made and not it. Just avoid it. Don't worry about it. And then I'm gonna lump these two games together just because of the type of game they are, not because of the actual like franchise, but there's Fire Emblem Warriors and then Hyrule Warriors. I'm not a Warriors person. The Warriors formula, I tried it twice with these games. In fact, this is my first Fire Emblem game I ever played. I didn't buy it, I borrowed it from somebody, and it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what to say. I want it to work because they look badass and fun. They look way more fun to watch than they do to play, but when I'm playing it, it just feels super overwhelming, super overstimulating, and I guess that's kind of the point, but I don't know, it's just something that doesn't work with it for me, at least with these two Warrior games. A little bit of foreshadowing for later. All right, now we get to some Pokemon games. The first on my list that is like the worst of the worst Pokemon games of this generation, like absolute garbage, is Detective Pikachu. This game is so bad. The story, bad. The graphics, bad. The game functioning, just bad. The amount of content that's in it, ultra super bad. It's you can beat it within an afternoon. Not a good game. Definitely not worth the $60 they charge for it by any means. Avoid at all costs. It's not worth it. It's not fun. Get it on 3DS if you're just insistent to play a Detective Pikachu game. Speaking of which, and I already mentioned this one, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I know this game has at its core and on its bones some awesome gameplay, and it's probably one of the strongest in the Pokemon series for its like gameplay mechanics, like the battling system and whatnot, and you know, the way that you do some of the shiny hunting and the competitive side of this Pokemon game. Some of the best in the series. But for me personally, when I played this game, it crashed at least 12 times throughout my very first playthrough. And that's not to mention the weird visual glitches, the slowdown in different areas throughout this entire game, which this game lacks so much because your in-game timer after a full playthrough will be a few hours short of your actual timer that the Nintendo Switch console tracks. It was just an unplayable game for me, and I wanted it to work. I tried many times. I know I'm like have this reputation of being a huge Pokemon hater. I just did not like this generation. It was just really rough for me, man. I just hate what this game represents, that, you know, these mega corporations can do what they want on a grander scale and kind of just get away with it, right? Is this thing worth it? I'm trying to be that person that tells you, in my opinion, if you're just a general non-Pokemon like stan, it's not worth it. And in that same vein, Pokemon BDSP also makes this category. Generation 4 is one of my favorite generations of Pokemon in general. I wanted to love this. I overlooked the chibi art style, I overlooked the fact that it was a 1-to-1 remake, but this game is just so boring. They add like nothing new to this besides like the underground features, which even then it's like at best, like it's just better underground, a little bit of multiplayer, but overall, like, why didn't we make the routes wild areas? And why didn't we add some Gigantamaxing from that generation? Why didn't we add like new quests and legendaries? And why didn't we make it based off of fucking Pokemon Platinum, for God's sakes? They were just really bad remakes. And it's really tough to say this, but they make it into the avoid / do not play category on this list. All right, there are 2 more games I just think you just should avoid and not play on the Nintendo Switch. One being Super Mario U Deluxe. I think just the new Super Mario Bros. Format is just so overdone and overwashed and tiresome. And I just think that you're better spending your time buying Mario Wonder or like any of the other Mario games that are on Switch that are like 8 bajillion times better. I get if you maybe have some personal like attachment to the new Super Mario Bros. Series, sure, go and play it. They're not necessarily bad games, especially for this being a Wii U port where they added no content to it and they decided to slap the same $60 price tag on it. Not worth the amount of content you're getting and the amount of stale, overused kind of formula that they've already been doing for the past decade. And last but certainly least, this game is like for brain dead people. This is the best I could describe it. This game is so unbelievably easy and boring, and I guess that's the point. It's supposed to be like a Kirby game, but Kirby games give you challenges. The point of a Kirby game is there's a low barrier to entry, but there's also a high skill ceiling and optional areas. This game does not do that. It is all baby gamer gameplay, which I know is crazy for a Nintendo baby gamer content creator to say. And so that's how insane it is that this game feels like that. And I have an especially crazy gripe with this game in particular. My first ever time attending a PAX convention, and there was Nintendo, and I got so freaking excited. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna play the brand new Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that game was coming out like a month later from when PAX East was happening. They even had a statue at the front of the PAX East venue from Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get to do a Zelda demo, a Tears of the Kingdom demo. This is gonna be so sick. I'm so excited. And we go into the venue and we go to line up, and the demo is this stupid game. And at that point, this game had been out for a couple of years. And I'm like, this is what you spent like, being a major show title at those venues is not cheap. So like, why are they spending all of that money to demo a 2-year-old Yoshi game? I don't get it, man. Next is the painfully mid category. And the criteria for this category is basically they're either too expensive of a game for the quality or content that they offer, or you have to really kind of search for the fun and joy within the content itself, or it's a very specific scenario where you're like, you know what, this one's all right. Okay, the first one on this category is F-Zero 99, and yeah, it's not bad. It definitely was like, I played it a couple times, I was like, all right, I'm done with it now. Next are the NES Classics, which I think these games should offer the NES games within them as a collection, so you can like practice the different areas and whatnot that this game challenges you to do as a speedrunner. But otherwise, this game is just, you just do the speedrunning trials and that's it. You just do those same segments over and over and over and over again, and that's all it is. It's fine. Next up is Mario Strikers Battle League, and I love the Mario Strikers series. But man, this one misses the mark so hard. It's fun for maybe a couple of days, and then it's cooked. And the online play lags, and it sucks. At least it did when I tried it. It was not fun, and it's really hard to say it, but I really, really wanted it to be a good game, and it just isn't. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. It surprised me and disappointed me because the first game in the series is surprisingly good, and I'm not an RTS person, but this game, it definitely has a drop in quality. It's still cool. It has a really neat story. If you haven't played it before, definitely would recommend at least giving it a shot, I guess, if you like RTSs. But this game kind of reminded me why I don't like RTSs. I was like, oh, the first game, you know, I was like, oh, this is great. I don't even feel like I'm playing an RTS. But this one, I was like, oh, it's an RTS, all right. So that's mainly why this one gets put into the painfully mid. And in the same vein, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is like, has one of the coolest stories out there. But again, it's met with the Warriors gameplay that I just cannot get behind. I want to so badly. And if you like that kind of stuff, I recommend this game. But otherwise, the only reason this one bumps up higher than the other Warriors games is purely because the story is so good. Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympic Games is the last Mario and Sonic game that we got ever, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. And this isn't even because the Mario and Sonic series is bad, it's just these games are so overdone. Okay, then there's Nintendo's little baby child that they really desperately wanted to make work this generation, which is ARMS. Now, ARMS, I think, is a good game, asterisk, because it is mechanically deep and it has a lot of cool, like, oh, okay, this is cool, you know, a lot of combos and whatnot, but I always found that the motion controls were just not robust enough on the Nintendo Switch to, you know, make it worth it for me. And I feel like even with all the motion controls, having that mechanically depth and complex style of gameplay with motion controls is just really weird. I don't know. The whole charm of like Wii Sports and all the other really good motion control games that are on the Nintendo Wii is because they're simple, but they feel complex. And this one, I don't know. This one just feels like the opposite of that. It feels like there's a lot of complexity and there's a lot of room for error, especially with the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Cool art style, cool concept, but it just doesn't make it, and I have to put it in painfully mid for me personally. Next is another Mario sports game that we have to unfortunately put into this tier, which is Mario Golf Super Rush. This game gets very old very quickly. There's no story mode. The courses are just super bland. You know, while at first I thought that the Super Rush concept of everyone golfing at the same time and kind of having this battle royale on each golf hole course was really cool in concept. In practice, it's not fun. It's really like gimmicky and it just gets old super fast, and I would rather go back and play the ones on the N64 on the GameCube specifically than play this one. Next, we have Pokemon Snap. If you are a Pokemon fanatic, go for it. This game is great, but this game takes forever to beat or even make like progress and unlock things into. This game is fun. I don't think it's worth 60 bones, and the gameplay is just not my style. Maybe if you like kind of cozy, cuter games, go for it, and you're a Pokemon fanatic, yeah, go for it. It's a beautiful game. One of the best looking games on Switch. That's why it gets put into this tier, in my opinion. Now, I love some Mario Party games. I'm a Mario Party freak. I have like almost all of them, and I play it very regularly on my Twitch streams. But Super Mario Party is rough, and I don't know if they're worse than Mario Party 9 or 10, but they're definitely down there. This one was like a somewhat return to form from the Mario Party 9 and 10 kart formula, and this game has some pretty good mini games, and it looks amazing on the Nintendo Switch. But man, the game boards are so ass. Like, they're so bad, they're so small, they're so short. I'm like, please give me some like bigger, more gimmicky game boards. now. I need it. Plus, something I think personally that destroyed the game and any of its balancing was the personal dice mechanic. I think maybe you could have had that work if it was like a collectible or an item that you bought, but still, even then, it's just something that's totally game breaking, and the fact that you can just collect little buddies and allies throughout the entire game makes it such a rough play every time you play with your friends. And the last one in the painfully mid category goes to Paper Mario and the Origami King. You know, there's a bar graph of Paper Mario games throughout the entire franchise. It starts pretty high, and then it just explodes through the roof. It just goes right there, you know, thousand your door. Then it comes back down to about the same spot with Super Paper Mario. It's a little bit argued whether or not it's the same as the first one, but either way, it's a good game. And then it just falls through the floor with Sticker Star and Color Splash. I think Color Splash has its charm, so it kind of brings it back up, but I would say that Origami King, it comes back up even further, and it has a lot of really charming dialogue and characters and fun, and the visuals are just absolutely stunning. But man, that gameplay with the rotating discs, it is so boring, it gets so repetitive, it gets so like, it actively incentivizes me again to avoid battles. The next category that I want to do is It's Okay, which the criteria for this is these games I know are solid games, they're very fun, I might have even enjoyed them even just a little bit, but they're not necessarily my cup of tea, or, you know, I just thought there was something not quite it with them. You know, I just think that they're fun games. If you like this franchise, you should probably play it, but otherwise it's all right. They're fine. There's some games that are in this category that I just want to get through quickly are 51 Worldwide Games, Kirby Dream Buffet, Super Kirby Clash, Mario 35, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and Nintendo Switch Sports. In addition to those games, Pokemon Unite is also in this category. Again, a game that is just not for me. I played it a good bit. It's fun in its time, but man, MOBAs are just their addiction. And I, seek help if you play a MOBA. That's all I have to say. But this game is a successful MOBA, so I have to put it into this category. Next up is Super Mario Maker 2. Now, the reason why this one is in the It's Okay category is because I feel like there just wasn't enough new content for this game to be warranted as an entirely new game on this system. Like, I know they wanted something different and new to put on the Nintendo Switch system, but I feel like it could have just been an update to 1 and they could have ported it over. If they really wanted to do the Super Mario Maker 2 strategy, I think including some like 3D level designing tools would have been amazing to help this game have some longevity, because after like even just the first year, I feel like nobody played this game anymore. At least it was not as much of a craze as Mario Maker 1 was. Next up is Mario Tennis Aces, and this game is pretty solid. I really enjoy it, but I don't know, there's just things where this game falls on the mark for that I can't in good faith say that this isn't a fantastic game, especially compared to like older Mario Tennis games. Again, just following the trend that Mario sports games are just missing their mark in the Nintendo Switch 2 generation. Next up is Princess Peach Showtime, which I thought this game was actually like really good and cute and charming, but again, it does that thing where there's not really a ton of challenge to this game, and I wish there was more levels and like optional side quests that really pushed the boundaries and pushed your skills that you acquire throughout the game. And so for that, like even for the price, I think it just kind of knocks it down to the, it's okay. If you could buy it, go for it. If not, you should maybe just avoid it. All right, another controversial Pokemon take. Pokemon Sword and Shield go into this category. This game was met with so much controversy upon its release, but man, in retrospect, I think these are not actually that bad of Pokemon games. Are they still worth the price and all of the DLC? Probably not. But I think if you're a Pokemon fan and you haven't played these games on the Nintendo Switch, these are probably some of the more positive experiences of a Pokemon game that you can find on the Nintendo Switch. And lastly for this category is Mario and Luigi Brothership, which really pains me to say that these games are just okay, but I spent about 24 hours in these games, like in the game clock, and I couldn't pick it back up. I just lost all interest in it. I really love the old Mario and Luigi games, but for some reason, this one just couldn't push me to get over that finish line for it, and I just have to put it in this category just because of that. All right, the next category is these are solid Switch games. These are games I would highly recommend that you pick up if you are a fan of that franchise. They are worth the money that they are listed for, and you're gonna have a good time with them. I really be surprised if there's a game on this list that you did not enjoy. And just to name a couple to get us started, we have Snipper Clips, Kirby Star Allies, The Legend of Zelda Cadence of Hyrule, Mario & Rabbids the first game, the Pikmin 1 and 2 remakes, and Donkey Kong Tropical Country Freeze. There's also a lot of ports and sequels on this list, like Luigi's Mansion 2, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon XD, and Super Mario 3D World. But something that Super Mario 3D World added that really earns its spot in this category is it, one, added online multiplayer for each of the levels, which makes this so fun to play online co-op with all of your friends. And this game added new content with Bowser's Fury. And Bowser's Fury is such a weird and experimental game, but that's why I love it. You get so much bang for your buck with the $60 you're paying because you're getting basically 2 games. I mean, Bowser's Fury is just an excellent single player mode with a giant open world using the Mario 3D World mechanics, but with a lot better visuals and charm than the previous game. And I think it just like carries it even further past this tier, but I wanted to kind of lump these two together because they are part of the same package of what you're buying. But I highly recommend it. I had a ton of fun with Bowser's Fury. Next up is the Super Mario RPG series. I love this one. I was very surprised how much I love this one. I didn't think I was going to dislike it, but this game is just a very, very, very solid remake and something that you definitely should play if you have not played the Super Mario RPG games. Then there is the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This game is like really good. It surprised everybody when it came out, and I really like the mechanics in it in theory. I think there's some points in this game where it feels super clunky to play, but overall, it's a very solid game, and if you have a Nintendo Switch and don't own this game, I highly recommend you grab it. And lastly is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I put these games into this category because I think out of all of the Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch, they are the best looking and most functional games that the entire Switch series has seen for the Pokemon franchise. So our penultimate category are must plays on the Nintendo Switch. If you have a Nintendo Switch and you don't own these games, you should get them or at least give them a try. They are fantastic games, in my opinion, through and through, and you know, they may have some weaknesses here and there, but I love them to death, and they're just fantastic games. I'm a huge fan of Tetris games, and Tetris 99 scratches that itch and then some. It's also a free game on Nintendo Switch, and it's just, I feel like everybody had it at one point and everybody was playing it, and you know, even I still pick it up from time to time if I'm feeling like super bored or whatever. Next is the Mario 3D All-Stars Collection, if you could get it. But if you do own it, you would know that this is probably a really strong collection of games. It's unfortunate it does not include a lot of other games, but I don't know. I have a soft spot for Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy, so it is a solid way to play these 3D Mario games in the modern day. Next up is the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, a very solid 2D Zelda game that I never played when I had a Game Boy back in the day, but playing it nowadays on this Switch console with this style and everything, fantastic. Next is Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which is just a great game in general on the Nintendo Wii, and I never played it back in the day, but I love playing it on the Nintendo Switch and doing online co-op. But I also love the Mangalore DLC that this game comes with. It's a really cool story, and definitely recommend playing. Now, this one's probably gonna get me some hate comments, but I love The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I think it's one of the best Zelda games out there, minus the motion controls and whatnot. And I think that the Nintendo Switch version fixed it. The stick flicking is actually super intuitive in my opinion, and I had a great time replaying it on the Nintendo Switch in the 60 frames and in its original art style. And if you love the Zelda series, I implore you to pick up this game. It has one of the best stories out of the entire Zelda franchise. Now we move on to one of the best looking Switch games, which is Metroid Prime Remastered. It's at $40, which makes it super cheap and valuable for what you get out of it in gameplay. And it's just a fantastic remake. I mean, it has a ton of visual improvements that are just absolutely stunning, plus all the amazing gameplay of Metroid Prime 1, which is not exactly an easy game to get your hands on nowadays. If you've never played the Metroid Prime series and you're trying to kind of get ready and hype for the Metroid Prime 4 games, highly recommend playing this game. It's fantastic, and it's, again, one of the best looking games on Nintendo Switch. And staying in line with the Metroidverse, there's also Metroid Dread. All the elements of a true Metroidvania are there. The controls are super slick, smooth, and fast, and the gameplay and combat is just absolutely out of this world. But also the gameplay feels just like a horror movie, and it looks terrifying. I love the feeling of these robots chasing you throughout the different compounds and throughout this world. And this game also offers a lot of challenge and difficulty within its boss levels, and it is all the worth its 60 bones that it's priced at. Okay, next is Mario Wonder. I know this one may shock a lot of people that this is not within the top 10. I am not the biggest fan of the 2D Mario games. I love them. They're great. I've find them fantastic, but 3D Mario is a lot more my speed. But this game is fantastic. I love all the mechanics of it. It's super gimmicky, and it's exactly the refresh we need design-wise and also just mechanics-wise to the 2D Mario formula. And now we circle back to Mario Party, and it is with this game that we finally course-corrected with the Mario Party franchise, Mario Party Superstars, which this game is kind of like a hodgepodge remake of a bunch of Nintendo 64 maps and minigames, along with some minigames from the GameCube and Wii era as well. I'm really sad they never added DLC to this game, but I find myself never getting bored or like having a bad time whenever I play this game, and it's highly, highly recommended to you. It's like one of the best Mario Party games on Nintendo Switch. Definitely pick it up. Next up is Pikmin 4. This game I thought was very, very close to making my top 10, but Pikmin 4 is just such a good Pikmin game. I think it's one of the most approachable Pikmin games in the entire franchise. I had such a fun time with it. I find myself replaying it all the time, and it is just a great Pikmin game, and I think it's one of the best in the franchise. And then, of course, one that I had to barely cut out of the top 10 in my list. I loved Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I am so excited to play the new DLC on Switch 2. This game is just absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. It has amazing visuals. It has amazing challenges alongside of the fun, silly gameplay that it gives you that's easy and nice. It's just one of those games, like, if you're not a gamer, I recommend you play it. It's like one of the best games in the entire franchise. Okay, we have reached the top 10 Nintendo Switch games. My top 10 Nintendo Switch games. These top 10 are not exactly what I think the best top 10 games are in the Nintendo Switch Encyclopedia. But what I do think that they are is my personal top 10 games that I had the most fun with in the Nintendo Switch generation. So let's go ahead and go from number 10 to number 1. Number 10 goes to Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game was exactly what I needed, at least in terms of a refresh of the Pokemon format. I love the game loop mechanic of just catching Pokemon and not having to enter a battle at all. The game looks relatively good. Obviously, there's plenty of frame rate issues and things that just don't work, but they nailed that core gameplay loop of just catching the Pokemon so well that I just find myself playing the game even to this day in replaying. And I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan either. It's a fun world to explore. It's a fun world to find shinies in. It's fantastic. I love the story of the game, especially because it's a Gen 4 remake type game. And I find myself catching that dumb Bidoof on Route 1 over and over and over again. It just works, man. I wanted to put it lower, but I just couldn't help it, and I had to put it within my top 10. So it's at the bottom of my top 10. Next up is Luigi's Mansion 3, sitting at number 9. Luigi's Mansion 3 is probably the second best game in the franchise, and the only reason it's not the best in the franchise is because the terrible backtracking that it has throughout this game. But visually, it's definitely one of the best looking Switch games, especially early on in the console's life. It also just oozes and drips a ton of charm and personality with each of the ghosts in different areas that you explore throughout this mansion. And the Gooigi puzzle mechanic is actually so much fun, and it always gets me to like as a head scratcher, and it's just something that's so engaging and fun. I just love it, and I can't recommend it more, and I hope it returns in some capacity in Luigi's Mansion 4, if they even make it. Okay, the next one might be a little bit controversial, but I love this game on the original GameCube, and I loved it again replaying it, even though I did a 24-hour marathon with this thing. And this game is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door remake. It absolutely looks so good on Nintendo Switch, and I just love this game. I can't think of a game I had more fun playing on the Nintendo Switch console. Now, the next one might surprise you how low it is in my top 10 based on, just how impactful and crazy this game was at its time. But I think it gets lower and lower on my list of top 10, basically viewing it through the lens of retrospect. This game, of course, is Animal Crossing New Horizons, which this game definitely met the moment, and you cannot deny the amount of impact it had on the world at the time of its release and on my personal life when the game came out. It was a fantastic game that had lots of multiplayer. I love the island creating mechanics and terraforming the whole place to, be exactly how you want it to be. Designing the islands is super fun with all the different furniture options and all the different things that were online at the time. It's cultivated an amazing community of people that I regularly interact with to this day, but they really missed the mark with the DLC and supporting this game into the future. And I don't know if this game would have done as well as it did if the COVID-19 pandemic didn't happen. I'll be perfectly honest. A lot of people start to ask the question with this game of, did Animal Crossing meet the moment or did the moment meet it? And I think there's a little bit of nuance to that where both statements are true. Well, that's why I decided to put this game at my number 7 on my top 10 list. Now, this one also might surprise you about how low it is on this list, but The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to be my number 6 pick. This game is fantastic. I think it has some of the strongest mechanics in the entire Zelda franchise. I think it's awesome visually. It's fun to play. I had a fantastic time playing it, but for some reason, I can't find myself coming back to want to replay it. And I think part of the reason is its story is very, very weak. I think it's one of those things where the story is discombobulated and low up until the very end, where it's fantastic and it's a super awesome moment. But I think the overall story of this game, it just doesn't match the vibe that the game is going for. I can refer you all to the Skitty Bitty video where she kind of goes into detail as to why Tears of the Kingdom isn't as strong of a game as Breath of the Wild was. But I think overall it's still a fantastic game, and I had a fantastic time playing it. And it's something I can't recommend more to anybody who owns a Nintendo Switch. Next up is Mario Party Jamboree. I love this game. I don't know if it's just recency bias, but I love Mario Party Jamboree. Man, I play this game for like a month or two straight, and I still play it from time to time today. The minigames are great, and the game design of the boards is just fantastic with the return of old boards and the implication of new boards. I'm excited for the new DLC that's coming on the Nintendo Switch, and I just love playing this game. The only downside to Mario Party Jamboree is the fact that it's super slow, and the minigame pool is a little bit limited, but overall, it's like one of the best Mario Party games on Switch, in my opinion. I had more fun with it so far than I have with Superstars. Again, maybe it's recency bias, but this is a great Mario Party game. Highly, highly, highly cannot recommend this game anymore, and I'm definitely going to find myself playing this a ton more. It earns my number 5 spot, for sure. Number 4 is gonna have to go to Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey takes the best of all the 3D Mario games that came before it, with the spectacle and grandness of Mario Galaxy and the mechanics and tightness of Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. And it combines into one just amazing game that is just a massive collectathon, looks amazing, has awesome boss fights, level design, all of the above, and it just makes for one of the best experiences on the Nintendo Switch too. I wanted to rank it higher, but man, this thing has some heavy competition, as you will see later in the video. So for that, Mario Odyssey will earn the number 4 spot. The amount of hype this game drew in its teasers and announcements trailers was just absolutely absurd, and would make the internet explode at the mention of any new character or anything that they added to the game. And of course, I'm talking about Super Smash Bros. I mean, one of the coolest trailers for Super Smash Bros. Was the It's Everybody Here trailer. If you weren't there, man, the amount of hype that there was for this game and the way that they revealed every single character coming back and then some was just absolutely absurd, and everybody was just losing their minds on the internet during this announcement. But all of the hype aside, this game is probably one of the strongest games in the entire franchise, besides arguably Melee. And the competitive scene has kept up with this game as well, and it's just fantastic with the DLCs and the different types of games. It makes a great party game, it's super great competitively, it's just a super strong game, and for me personally, I played the ever-living crap out of it for the first couple of years that it was out, because I was in college and I even went to local Smash tournaments and whatnot. It was just so fun, and even when I'm getting my ass kicked in this game, because I'm not the best Smash player out there, I just can't help but smile and have so much fun with this game. 100% one of the best in the franchise, and well deserving of the number 3 spot. All right, we're down to the last 2. And number 2, I have to give to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I was playing this game all the way up until the release of Mario Kart World. It is a great game. It's a shame that it came out on the Nintendo Wii U. Here we are, still playing this game well over a decade later. The drifting mechanics in the game are absolutely fantastic. The map and level design was just awesome. They added a ton of DLC to this game and playable characters that I just really hope that they add at Mario Kart World at some point. The kart customization, the competitive scene was absolutely fantastic. Again, I just can't help but find myself still playing the game to this day, or at least up to the release of Mario Kart World. Okay, this one probably doesn't surprise any of you, but the number 1 spot goes to Breath of the Wild. In the history of all of gaming, there are so few games that make such an impact on the entire gaming industry as Breath of the Wild has. Breath of the Wild not only has changed the way that we look at video games, but it has also influenced countless of other spin-offs and mechanics and different ways that we look at open world gaming. Countless other games have copied the exact formula of Breath of the Wild just because of how successful it was. And the story and vastness of this game give it such a unique flavor and tone that some people don't even consider it a true Zelda game. I think it's one of the best games in the entire history of gaming. I find myself replaying it constantly, even with the existence of Tears of the Kingdom being a thing. And I just think it's a game that is going to sit in the Hall of Fame of gaming for the rest of time, and that will be been talking about for generations and generations. Obviously, it's not a perfect game, but no game is. But what it did and what it's done for the time and what it's done for gaming since its release is undeniable. And so for all those reasons alone, it has to go at the #1 spot for the Nintendo Switch games. So that's my list, and let me know if you disagree with any of it in the comments down below and where you would put your top 10 games of the Nintendo Switch era as well. Seriously, I want to know. Tell me down below. It would be great, yeah. Anyways, that's the end. So thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye. See ya. Tell me about your favorite game, please. I love it. That'd be great. Anyways, yeah. Goodbye.